Auntie Donna's famous Nyambat fruitcake and sorrel drink. Balmy breezes and friendly skies carry the sounds of Christmas with kettle and bass drums to celebrate these mystical, magical moments. This cultural ambassador desires to share her carnival excitement with everyone. Enter the big top tent to experience a sleigh ride whisk and quantum leap backwards to the present through centuries and pages of time with our young ring mistress. Your ticket is unreserved. She simply asks that you maintain a strong belief in all things good and that you bring your vivid imagination. Dare to discover the mysteries of chimneyless toy deliveries, talking animals, unbreakable presents, and the misjudged picnic who were called naughty, but they were really quite nice. Christmas is such a special time, no matter what your age, address, or the condition of the world you live in. And with your help, Santa and Carradice's wish for love and peace will transcend race, class, wealth, or culture and become the greatest miracle and gift to us all. One day at Christmas time.
Hey everybody, Merry Christmas and welcome to Rhythm Flow Radio live stream right here on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Spreaker. Also streaming on Apple Podcasts. I am so happy to bring you this special this evening right before Christmas. And this is a special that you are sure to enjoy. Valerie Davis Kemp is an African-American author of children's books. Valerie Davis Kemp is also the founder of Carradice Collections, LLC. I've interviewed her before when I was at Intellectual Radio, and she has gone on to do such great things. And to bring us this miraculous book at Christmas time, it's just a pleasure to introduce her. I'm going to bring her to the screen, and I'm going to let her talk about herself because she knows herself better than I do. At this time, I introduce to you Valerie Davis. Hi, Valerie.
How are you, Katie?
I'm great. It's just so great to see you.
Likewise, and you're looking good as usual. Happy
You
holidays.
You always look great. You know, the last time I saw you, girl, you had me going around singing Jamaican my ABCs. I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it out of my head.
Yes.
So today you're bringing us something else, and you know, I'm gonna sit back and let you talk about it.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for this opportunity, and it's an awesome pleasure to be on screen. We have such technology today, and we're going to talk a little bit about technology in my Christmas story. But we have this technology where we could be everywhere at one time, and so that's really awesome. And I'm just so happy to share with you my story, Carradice Christmas Chronicles. So now you talked about us having an interview back, I guess it was in 18,
and
right. About Jamaican Sammy ABCs, and that character, who's the main character, the protagonist, Carradice, based on my daughter, is also the star of this story too, Carradice Christmas Chronicles. And Carradice really is a cultural ambassador. I see myself as a cultural curator, someone who's here to pull purpose out of children and young adults. And I use my character, Carradice, to take you all around the world to help you have an appreciation for yourself so that you don't feel the need to appropriate from other cultures. You can appreciate other cultures, you can share other cultures, but you never have to feel like your culture is second best. Your culture is, whatever your culture is, it is first and foremost in your life, and it has merit. And so when we start talking about merit and we talk about Christmas time, I wrote this story a couple of years ago, but I didn't really run with it. But as things were progressing in the nation here in America, looking at how children are perceiving themselves, children of color, children from the diaspora, and children are not allowed to be children anymore. They're seeing too much. They don't have the magic of Christmas. They don't know the peace on earth. They don't know about being loved and respected by the masses. And so I wanted to bring some of the Christmas joy and also to affirm children in the story. So when I started thinking about the Christmas story, I said, this story is not written with us in mind. And somebody might beg to differ, but I'll give you an example. If this story was written with us in mind, then Santa would not be coming down a chimney, right?
Oh, explain that to me.
Okay, well, if you live you are an indigenous child, indigenous person, and you're living maybe even close to the equator, you might not live in a home that has a fireplace. You might not need a fireplace because where you live is very hot. So if you don't live in a place that's very cold, sorry, very cold, then you don't need a fireplace. Your place where you live, your residence, your country, your culture, they don't know anything about that. And so I start thinking, hmm, this story is more European centric, Eurocentric than Afrocentric. So I said, that means we were cut out of the narrative. And then when you start talking about naughty and nice and Santa putting you on the list, he's making a list, he's checking it twice, going to find out who's naughty and nice. What? There are kids that are sleeping in their graves right now that were stereotyped and labeled as naughty, like Emmett Till,
Oh, yes.
Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin, Elijah McClain, even though he was in his early 20s, his understanding of the world was very naive and childlike, very innocent. Laquan McDonald, Letitia Hollerson, who was shot in the back of her head by a Korean store clerk in California for orange juice because the lady thought she wasn't going to pay. So I said, how can I put all these children in a story, still keep it magical, wonderful, joyous, but also put something on people's mind in terms of this holiday and what it should stand for. So what I did was wrote a story about Carradice and Carradice calling everybody into the tent like a circus. And of course, Carradice is a Jamaican. In case you're not familiar with Jamaican Semi ABCs, Carradice is a Jamaican, which means that she has a Jamaican background far as lineage, but also American as well. And so that character is based on myself as being African American with Southern roots, and my ex-husband who was born in Britain or London, but had roots as a Jamaican. So I said, okay, let's have her tell the whole world that comes upon this tent this story about Santa and how Santa should be perceived by their eyes. Because, he who writes the story controls the narrative. We know that, right?
Absolutely.
So I wanted to control this narrative. So here goes. The story is simply a story of self love, self esteem, knowing who you are, being aware of all those things that are said about you in a negative manner, which means that you might not make it on the nice list, but understanding that you are nice, that you are good, you're worthy, you have value. And so what happens is Santa is leaving the North Pole and he's going to make a night trip on December 24th, all the way up until the early morning light. And on his list are children whose names look like this or sound like this: Asitu, Delajuan, Virat, Adora, not just Becky, Joe, Bob, Elizabeth, and Ann.
Mhm.
Okay, so those names sound pretty cultural, right? So you see Santa making these stops, but when did he start and how did he come together and get this done? So I take it all the way back. It's like going back in time, and he's kind of musing over what has happened. And we'll start in the 17th century. We start in a place where there's no snow. We start in a place where the animals decide that they're going to help Santa because uh, we had to put the animals in. Even the Christmas story with Jesus got an animal, right?
Absolutely.
Got the donkey. I got a donkey in my Christmas story too. My donkey name is Silver though, and my donkey is part of a rumor about Santa that he actually had a crash in a mango tree in Jamaica, and he didn't deliver those presents that the donkey had to go around and make the trip to deliver the present. And we say, oh, that's a bunch of garbage. That's not quite true. So what is the true story? So that's what my cultural ambassador is going to tell you, the true story of what happened. And the true story of what happened is this. Santa had animals that decided back in the 17th century that they would help him out. And they decided as a corporation between the elves, Santa, and the reindeer that no one would catch you. The master wouldn't catch you, the slaves wouldn't catch you, nobody would catch you as you were bringing these gifts into the slave quarters. So if you had wings, you had hoofs, what you had a back like a camel, whatever you got, you better be putting some gifts on them backs on in the webbed feet and making your way to bringing these kids gifts. So I was like, okay. And as I was writing this, I got really into my imagination, right? And
Mhm.
I said, we need to make this look very Afrocentric. So you will see the drinking gourd in the sky. You will see the North Star in the sky. Instead of snow, you'll see rain because it rains a lot in places where there is a lot of humidity and tropics and so forth. And my book is set somewhere in the Caribbean, where I don't specifically say where, but you could let your imagination run. And so what happens is that Santa, as he's going back and forth from the 17th century even to the 21st century, his heart is getting heavier and heavier. And Santa does not involve himself in human issues, but he still has an opinion. And it's sort of allegorical because Santa might be seen as like this figure that has no judgment, but does his best to provide love and peace for everyone. So it didn't matter to him if you picked enough cotton. It didn't
Okay.
matter to him if you picked enough sugar cane on the plantation. What he was looking at was your character as a child and not what the people said, but what he really saw about you. And so Santa one day is at his place at the North Pole. And if you see one of the scenes, I call it framed friends because there's going to be merchandise that's associated with this book. And framed friends looks like this if you can let your imagination run. There's a portal that he's looking in. It's a framed mirror, and there's a little boy with all this sugar cane. Because what I want people to know as being Carradice being a cultural ambassador, that there are many things that the people of the diaspora had to labor for. Some was doing sugar cane because the queen and her people, whether it was in Portugal or in the UK, they wanted the sugar for their tea and crumpets. So sugarcane was the crop that was being raised. But in some places it was tobacco. In some place they were dealing with rice, like in the Carolinas and the Gullah and the Geechee areas. Some place they were dealing with king is cotton. And so in this story, you see the little boy with all the sugarcane weighed down. And you see behind him in Santa's quarters these children in framed pictures, and the pictures are of Emmett Till on the wall, Letitia Harlison, Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown. And Santa is just looking so distressed. He's got the tears running down his eyes. And then in another scene, you see him looking at this list, the permanently nice list, where these same children who were once misjudged and said that they were bad and lost their lives, they're now being the story and the narrative is being reworked They were not bad. They were misjudged, and they were prematurely gunned down or lost their lives due to lies and so forth. So the story is doing a lot of challenging. So then, you know how we say that as people of God, we were made in his own image. And if you notice in a lot of stories all across the world, people see God in the image that they look like when they look in the mirror. So then the thing is, well, what does Santa look like to children all over the world? It's the same type of principle. So the way we worked it up was the magic of Christmas kind of have you seeing Santa in your image. So Santa looks Asian, he looks black with the bearded dreadlock here where he has the lock and he has
Okay.
yes,
Yes.
and he looks Indian and he looks white and he looks like what you look like. That's the magic of Christmas because I wanted that that story to expand beyond just the white Santa or even the black Santa that we hear about. And so and children are still nosy. They try to get a glimpse of Santa. They're trying to spy him out on December 24th. And sometime when they see him, this is how they see him. They see him in their own image. And that's a good thing because a lot of times children feel like, well, there's no representation of me. So in this book, there is representation of them. They feel like a lot of kids feel like because of poverty and such that nobody cares about them or that they're not good enough to get a gift or that they are forgotten. And in this story, they're not forgotten. Santa doesn't forget them. Um, that they're not wicked, they're not bad, they're not naughty, they're good, and they deserve to get a gift. But I wanted the children to think beyond gifts that break up, gifts that tear up, gifts that you get bored with and you put it in the corner in the attic or in the basement, or you give it away at the thrift store. So, what are those gifts? Well, those gifts are good health care.
All right.
Those gifts are living in a pandemic free nation. Those gifts are good food, organically grown and not full of pesticides. Those gifts are love and respect and peace. And this is really the real gifts of Christmas time. And I wanted the children to know how you celebrate it is okay. Because the cultural ambassador, Carradice, is saying, hey, if you don't put gingerbread and milk out for Santa, that's okay. You can put coquito out. You could, which is like a coconut drink. You could put lechon on the buffet, which is the pig. You know what I'm saying? And that's more um Puerto Rican and so forth. You can have plantain cakes, you can have macaroons, you can have soul drink, you can have ginger beer. You can put all these things on the buffet because this represents your culture because Santa Claus is a Santa who's inclusive. He's not exclusive. He's inclusive. And you, however you celebrate the joys of Christmas is okay. And what you give to him is okay too. So it's from yam bad fruit cake out of Jamaica to guava, Java plum cakes to puddings, rice puddings to macaroons, and all that stuff is on the buffet for Santa in terms for him to eat and to drink. And it's also a story that talks about at the end of the day, we have to show love and respect one to the other. Um, and it's just a story of love and peace. It's a story to say culturally, you're okay, and no matter what you look like, no matter what you where you live, you are worthy, and someone is thinking about you, and you're not forgotten, and you're special, and you're beautiful, and it doesn't matter what has been said about you in the past. You can always rewrite your history and to understand that at the end of the day, whatever flag you're representing, because you see at the end everybody's lifting up their flag. So of course Carradice has her American flag and her Jamaican flag, but you have flags from Italy, Japan, Canada, all Africa, all these different flags, because that's what it's about. I love the song One Day of Christmas sung by Stevie Wonder.
Okay.
And he talks about one day at Christmas, men won't be boys playing with guns like kids play with toys. One warm December, all men will see. Notice you see that he said one cold December, he said one warm December,
1 December, yep.
all men will see a world that's filled with peace. And that's what we are aspiring to. So there's a lot of cleverness in it and fun things too, where you see Santa dropping off a gift to the spoon and the dish, because the dish ran away with the spoon, and so the dish is the sir and the spoon is the lady, and they got married the year before. And you see the cow jumping over the moon, and you see Santa dropping the baby shower gift because Miss Dish is expecting now from her husband.
So
Miss
you're
Spoon,
playing. You have
Spoon
a way.
hyphenated dish. Look, Miss Spoon hyphenated dish.
So
Expecting her
you have a
first
way
child.
of playing on. You have a way of playing on the what you call those nursery rhymes.
Yes,
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 absolutely.
because you don't want to be so far fetched. You want it to be something that can pull all types of people in. This is a story that celebrates children of the diaspora, but that's not my only audience. It's an audience for all children,
For
because
inclusion, for
yes,
inclusion.
children can learn from
Right.
other children, and
Yeah.
we're becoming a country here, and we're becoming global, where people are really wanting to know about other people. They really want to tap in and learn and appreciate other people. And so, from the foods to the music to the stories to how we do our hair, who we worship, the whole bit, it's a big thing. And what makes this book even more special is this: right now it everybody's buying ebook, they're buying ebooks, they're doing audibles, downloads like that, right? And so you seeing stores going out of business, brick and mortar stores going out of business for bookstores. That's because books are becoming a thing of the past, because people are reading and doing it a different way. But to me, I'm a person who likes to put my hand on a cover and have a binder and feel on the pages, and I don't dog out my books. My mom was an English and Spanish teacher, God bless her. And matter of fact, the book is dedicated to my mother and my father. My father died probably about 5 weeks ago, and
Very weird.
thank you. I wish that I had showed him all the sketches and stuff, but it was going to be a big surprise. He knew I had dedicated the book to him and mom, but I showed him nothing because I couldn't wait to have this delivered to him. And it didn't happen that way. So what I would tell you is this: if you want to share something with somebody, don't wait for a time frame. Do it expeditiously. A friend of mine made a post the other day, said, "Don't wait to wear your good clothes, because you go wear your good clothes every day. Don't wait to eat certain dishes. Eat what you want to eat, when you want to eat it, and how you want to eat it. Celebrate you,
Well,
because
they always say don't wait to give them the flowers when
yes,
you die.
give them
Give them
now.
what- That's
Give
right.
them
That's
now."
right. That's
and
right.
and and, and so what I will say is this: what I wanted to do was to present this to him. My dad was into electronics and so forth, and so he would have had appreciation for this. But I wanted to merge the tradition of reading with the technology of the 21st century, because we have these Gen Zs and millennials. These millennials are becoming parents, and we have these Gen Zs who they get bored quickly, and they want to be interactive with something. They live in virtual worlds. Even we seeing how Facebook is changing. So what I did was decide, hey, let's tap into augmented reality. As you say, augmented reality, what is that? So what happens is when you buy my book, you can download this app for free. And after you have read it traditionally, if you want to do that one time, you can go back and put your phone screen over the book or your tablet over the book, and it will have narration where you don't have to read it. You can listen and hear the backdrop music, and you'll see everything jumping off. You see the reindeers flying, and you'll see all this. You hear the sounds of Christmas. You'll see the animation of the book. It's sort of like holograms coming out of the book.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's called Augmented Reality. And so this makes it to me a special treasure because I'm always trying to see what can I do to grasp the attention of children where they will learn and be, I coined the word edutained. So they've been entertained, but they're being educated. So they're edutained. And so I felt like tapping into this technology would keep their attention, make Christmas more magical, make it interactive for them. They'll come back and look at this more than one time. They won't just read it, hear the story. They'll come back to it because it does something. I remember my daughters were little and they had the books that you could press the button and hear the noise. Remember those? And they had
I
the
do,
speakers
I
built
do,
in.
yeah.
And I thought, oh my God, this is so great. So now we have advanced beyond that. And so this is a special bonus gift to those who want to buy the story.
You, you, let me say, I'm sitting here thinking, you had the first book was Jamaican My ABCs. You're coming back with this book.
Yes.
And you're coming back with something that is so far advanced.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, as an educational tool, it's very difficult to get children to learn. And right now they're going through a phase of, we're in the classroom one day and the next time we're
That's
at
right.
home, learning.
Well, you have to think about how do children learn. So I remember when my daughter, the one who's the star character in this book, she was in the gifted program, and her teacher taught me something way back in the day. Shout out to Miss Gregory, Edith Gregory.
Gatson.
Yeah,
Gina Gatson.
hi, Gina.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Hey, look, Gina is an author herself. She is cold with it. She has alpha adventure stories, and she has like a 5-book series.
Well, Gina, we need Gina. We need to interview Gina.
You do need to interview Gina. And you know what? And can I just stick a pin? Not only is she writing stories, she's galvanizing writers to come together and help each other. She has done, she's worked in conjunction with Deborah Pettigrew, which she's with YWYCA Rejoice, and they do a book thing every year. They've done about 2 or 3 years now, where you come together for the weekend. You learn how to put together a book if you're interested in publishing a book. And it's just a time to get together and just really work on your craft. And then they bring in people who come in, talk about their books. And it's just this literary world is just a world into itself.
Now, I wanted to say this though. I wanted to go back to your book because you're talking about using an app.
Yes.
And you're talking about making pictures become holograms.
Yes.
So I'm sitting here thinking that, during the pandemic, it caused a great war in education. Okay. And I'm just thinking, if there were educational books that could grasp the attention of children.
Yes.
Like this book, I feel will. I mean, I just looked at the video of it and I thought it was just out of this world because so many children have they have a negative connotation.
Yes, about
Christmas and Santa.
And let me say this, when I was talking about Edith Gregory, shout out to her being a wonderful educator. She said to me, children learn visually, audibly, or kinesthetically. Where I'm a kinesthetic learner, which means that I have to see it, I have to hear it, and then I have to write. The retention rate for me is I've got to engage. I've got to see it. I've got to hear it. I can't just hear something and I get it. If I'm writing notes and I can see it, I'm going to retain it longer. So you have to learn, how do children learn? Because everybody don't learn the same way. Well, this right here helps give options for children to grasp something because they can see it, they can hear it, they can be involved in, if they want to read it just the normal way you read, or they can hear the narration. And we have a shout out to my narrator. Her name is Nicole Parkinson. She's out of Jamaica,
Okay.
the St. Mary Parish. Shout out to my illustrator Richard Natu, who's out of Jamaica as well. I have an awesome team, and they have done wonders. The video that you saw, the animation, that is the most advanced of. And I have trailers for all my books, but that is the most animated trailer that I've ever had. You can see the movement and so on and so forth. He is the same person that put the augmented reality in my book, the illustrator who did that. And so, yeah, we if we could kind of move off the Christmas story, and I want to talk about education and so forth. So my second book, which will come out on Juneteenth, is done in terms of writing and illustration, and that's the one that you see the little girl in the center with her eyebrows kind of furled up, and you see the images of the police officers in the left eye with
You know
Karen.
what? While you're talking, let me see if I think I have a little video of that. Let me
Yes.
see if I can pull that up. If I can't pull the video up, I know I have a picture.
Okay.
Keep talking. Keep
Yes.
talking.
And I
While
hope that
I
I hope that at some point you can also let the people see what kind of merchandise they would be able to get. Oh, let me tell you this: the book comes out on the 12th day of Christmas.
oh,
On the
wow.
12th day of Christmas, author Valerie Davis said you can get Carradice Christmas Chronicles, and because with my dad's death there was a setback, and so I got behind in the scheduling and everything, but we have been working feverishly, and so it will be available in hard copy and soft copy on the 12th of December. That's in a couple of days, and you can get it off of Amazon. You'll be able to get off of platforms like
You,
Amazon.
you know what? If people look right here at this picture, I believe this is the picture you're talking about.
In the center, yes, the little
Right
girl.
here. Okay.
Mhm.
Right here. Yeah.
Now, so that story, okay, let me preface this with this. We
Okay.
need to really, really be mindful as parents about what's going on with the educational system and what legislators are trying to do in terms of our history. I told you, he who writes the story controls the narrative. So guess what's happening now? Yes, they passed where we celebrate Juneteenth, and my book will be released on Juneteenth. But by the same token, I don't know why they even bothered to do that when they have a problem what they call CRT, which is critical race theory. That's what they're
Absolutely.
calling it. And in some states, it is against the federal law to teach things like slavery, talk about Martin Luther King, to talk about the Dred Scott decision and being three-fourths considered three-fourths of a man, to do anything like this, to teach any of these concepts, because it said that it would make children, and I'm saying what children, because our kids, you know, they know it ain't been no life, ain't been no crystal stairs, as Langston Hughes would say. They know that. So what children are you talking about? They don't want children to feel bad. They don't want them to feel like they're being complicit in something that was before their time. Though they may make decisions as young adults to continue to walk in the realm of the things that their forefathers have done, they don't want to have these stories up and about. And I'm saying, no. To me, you're targeting people of color from the diaspora, because nobody dares to tell the Jewish community that you can't talk about the Holocaust, and that you
Okay.
can't go to the museums, and that you can't teach the children and teach the nations of the world about what happened to them, millions strong in their death. So why would you come to children of the diaspora in America and say, can't talk about that? We're gonna rewrite the story. So guess what? Books come out of Texas, and some of the books have been rewritten to say that we were indentured servants, that we were not slaves. I don't know if y'all are aware of that, but
I'm aware of it.
yeah.
I'm aware of that garbage.
And so guess what? In 50, 60, 70 years from now, when some of us are no longer here, and we didn't put the work in to do what you're doing to bring the information forth, or Gina's doing, or I'm doing. And then there are people who come beyond. I wasn't there. I mean, I know they got that story about Anne Frank, but I believe that story. I believe a little girl was locked up in a room for what, 3-4 years, and then eventually pulled out with her family and murdered off. But some would say that's fictional. If you're not there, you don't know. But that is the important to keep in records. Even the Bible says that you're supposed to keep records so that the children who have went through the exodus of a problem, the exodus of slavery, the exodus of being buked and scorned and dogged, will remember where they come from, and they will teach their children's children so that it will not happen again. If you don't know your history, you don't know who you are.
It's sad enough that we had to fight to learn to read.
Come on.
It's
And what
sad
did
enough.
they say, Katie?
Huh?
If you want to hide something from a person of color, where you put it?
In the Bible.
In the Bible, in a book, whatever.
In the Bible, in the book.
In the Bible or in the book.
It's sad enough that we had to fight to learn to read.
Yes.
But the sad part about it is to get an education. And the sad part about it is they're still fighting for the same education today.
That's right. And the thing is, who's educating us? What are we allowing our kids to see and hear? See, I want us to never forget Emmett Till. I applaud Mamie Till today, and she's sleeping in her grave because you know what she said? Open that casket up and let everybody see what they did to my baby. So back in the day, that was revolutionary. Do you understand that the Pullman Porters fought to get that boy down here? They didn't want him to come down here. They did not want him back in the Chicagoland area displayed. Them Pullman, that's a whole story that needs to be told about how the Pullman Porters protected that boy's body to make sure that he got back down here, because they wanted that story buried. They wanted that story buried then. They want that story buried now. And they want all the stories.
And the sad part of history about it, before that woman went to her grave, she told the truth.
She told the truth.
That he was murdered for nothing.
For nothing.
For being a young Black boy.
Boy, that's right. Yeah. And so this story hopped on Pops. Lord have mercy. That was born out of my hurt, my frustration, my why. And so with George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Jacob Blake, Breonna Taylor, Philando Castile, it had just gotten too much for me. And what I had said was, I gotta write something. It can't be fluff. It's gotta deal with this. And sometimes a story writes itself. It's like you just know you're a catalyst. You know it was divine downflow in you. And so somehow I heard in my head, they done hopped on Pops again. And I thought, that's Dr. Zeus, hop on Pop. And what I ended up doing was a parody of Dr. Zeus' story, Hop on Pop, with the rhyme scheme and the cadence. And I made individual sketches of different things in our community that were very mind-boggling to see. And I said, our children got post-traumatic stress disorder. If you were Jacob Blake's kids, you're gonna need therapy for a long time, because you were in the car where they shot at close range, and you were a young Black boy, and your dad wasn't running. He wasn't fighting the police, but he had enough chutzpah and maybe arrogance in their heart that he was not following their directives. And they just opened fire on that man. And I had said to my kids, I said, if he make it, he's probably going to be paraplegic. That's what I said. We thank God that he made it. However, we think about his children and what they witnessed that day, close range. That's a lot. We think about destiny who recorded the Philando Castile imageries where she said, "Oh my God, I can't believe they shot my boyfriend." And he just was following directions to get the ID. He said, "I have a weapon. I'm licensed to carry." And they shot that man in front of his future stepdaughter. And she couldn't have been no more than about 5 or 6. And to watch her comfort her mom after they put her in handcuffs in the back, and her mother, after she just really let it sink in and was screaming and hollering, she's like, "It's okay, mommy. Don't, calm down, mommy." And she was telling her, "Stop, because I don't want them to shoot you too." George Floyd's daughter said, "My daddy changed the whole world."
She sure did. She surely did. You know, when you spoke about Emmett Till, I, I can't think of this young man's name, but I think it was back in what, 2014, was it 2017? He was in high school, and he was the one that was found rolled up in the mat.
Mm, 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 mm.
Oh, I'm gonna go find this because they just did a special on it, finding some Johnson. His face,
Mhm,
when they showed his face on TV.
mhm,
I did a post. I did a screenshot of Emmett Till's face and a screenshot of his face. I posted it on Facebook, but
mhm.
of course they covered it up because it was sensitive. But the two faces almost looked alike. And they claimed that this young man went down in this mat that was rolled up to get his gym shoe, and he
Mm-mm,
suffocated. But you could look
mm-mm.
at his face and tell that they beat him.
Yeah, that he
They
was
beat him,
traumatized
they
before he
killed him,
got
and then they rolled him up
mhm,
in the gym mat
mhm.
at school. So Kendrick Johnson, she just put the name up there.
Okay.
Finding Kendrick Johnson. This happened some years ago. So Jennifer Lewis just did a special on it.
Mhm.
Kendrick Johnson's face looked almost like Emmett Till.
Yes, our kids, what is
It's
happening to
bad.
their psyche? If you see Kendrick Johnson get killed, you see Laquan McDonald get beat down. You you're seeing and hearing so many things. What happens to you psychologically? So this book, Hopped on Pops, is a catalyst for parents to have the talk with their children. The talk ain't just about the birds and the bees.
I
The
know.
talk in our community is, how do you make it home at night? And we start tripping when our kids can walk to the corner store to get some chips or candy. We start tripping really bad when they get their driver's license. When we let them go, when they beyond the permit and they have the operator's license, when we're letting them go to the school dance, the parties or whatever, and we're like, don't drink, don't speed. If they stop you, this is protocol. And what happens when the protocol don't work? And
Our
so
kids
then,
can walk to the store and get a bag of Skittles and iced tea.
come
It
on.
just don't work.
And I have that in there. I have a scene where um you all have to see this book. This book is also an augmented reality.
Can I show some of the art that's
Yes,
illustrated?
please,
Let
please.
me pull up some of the pictures right quick because this artwork is over the top.
And the oh, that's now that artwork right there is for the Christmas book.
This is okay.
Yeah, you can show that too, because I
Okay.
want y'all to
Okay.
see
I wanted. I really wanted to show this piece with these names on it.
yeah. Now,
This,
could you see that? Now that's a piece of art. This is why I said this is a different Christmas story. And if you could see, those are tear
I,
stains. Those are
I
Santa's tear stains. And if you look at the permanently nice list, you see Letitia Harlins. That's the young girl that was shot in the back of the head by the Korean store clerk about some orange juice, girl, that she had the money to pay. And she kept saying I had the money. You see Emmett Till. You see
right.
Laquan McDonald out of Chicago. Of course, you see Trayvon Martin. You see Elijah McClain, who's a little older than them, but he was, I think, 23, but he was very, very naive. This boy had bad anemia. He had the skull cap over his face with his eyes out. He walked to the store. I said, man, the store be killing us. From when I think about the store, y'all, people think, they'll be like, you crazy. I'm like, no. Eric Gardner was standing in front of the store selling loose cigarettes, so they say. George Floyd was at the store. Mike Brown came from the store. You see what I'm saying? Who else? George Floyd. It's a number of people that went to the store, y'all, and they ain't make it back home. I got on here Michael Brown, Ayanna Jones, Tyree King, Cameron Prescott. Those, they're on the permanently nice list because they were naughty, but they were said that they were naughty, that they were no good, they were criminals. And I'm like, when did little kids, if we look at Tamar Rice, he was just outside.
Oh, that was so sad.
How do we know that that little boy didn't want to be a police officer when he grew up? How do we know that he wasn't just making believe because he was playing by himself? How do we know that he wasn't making believe about what his sense of was cops and robbers? We don't know why, but he was playing. He was using his imagination. He got killed for his imagination. It wasn't a real gun. There wasn't nobody out there that he was shooting and pointing at. He was just playing, and they pulled up, they jumped out their car, and they just saw him as criminal. Because children, they don't even look at them as children no more. And so when you look at this book, there are images in there from, I'll give an example. There's an image in there where there's Colin Kaepernick, and he's outside the stadium, which I call it the Field of Dreams, the arena where he played football when he was playing football. And he is on his knee. He took a knee in front of Emmett Till's grave. And the gravestone says, "Ill will kill Till, he on field kneel." And you see Trayvon looking back at him very sad with that famous rim hat that he has on.
Yeah.
And a number 7 jersey, red jersey with a number 7, Kaepernick's number, walking up to the stairway of heaven. And then you see 2 racist figures with ropes in their hand. And it gives you the sense of the past and the present. So when Kaepernick, what I'm showing is that when Kaepernick took a knee, it wasn't just to disrespect America. He was taking a knee for the Emmett Tills. He was taking a knee for in slavery. When Francis Scott Key did that 3rd verse, it was quite clear that was a racist song. Because he was saying to those who were the Brits, you can get this bullet to the head 2 times. If you call yourself going to help rescue people of color, we got a bullet with your name on. And Negroes, Negras, or all whatever they called them back in the day, you best not be out there on the other side helping the Brits for your freedom. You better be out here in this field, tending to this cotton, picking this cane, working out here, picking this tobacco, doing this indigo, working in these rice patches. But if we catch you out here, this is what will happen to you. Just look at the 3rd verse. I say, I don't know why people don't just shut it down with just to tell them. We don't honor that song because of the 3rd verse.
Well, they're not gonna do that. That's just not that's not gonna happen in these United States of America.
Well,
okay, we can listen. We can say that, but we don't control nothing.
We don't control.
We don't control nothing.
But
that's the sad part.
Let me tell you something. What I feel we control. Once you have the knowledge of self,
thank you.
You can control how you feel about yourself.
Thank you.
What you teach the next person that looks like you on how to come along and do better. You can have a mind that we're not going to be just consuming. We're going to be the lender and not the borrower. We're going to be the head and not the tail. We're going to have property. Now, yes, we've had property before, like Rosewood and like in Oklahoma, you know, and they burned it down and they gunned us down and whole. But you can't say, well, I throw my hand up and let's not do anymore. You have to keep praying and toiling on. You have to continue to go against the grain. You have to make sure that even when you slumber, you're not sleeping. You're wide awake.
Absolutely.
So if you see in this girl's eyes the worry at first, and then you see that it changes to the anger, and you see what she sees in there. And you could see like the fight is getting a little bit more intense between the two parties. And folks that used to be on this side, they're now on this side. And they're standing and they're saying, before you get to them, you got to come through me. I remember Al Sharpton said at George Floyd's funeral, this thing is a little different from back in the day.
It sure was.
These advocates out here, man, they taking a little step further. You understand? Because we moving into a new stratosphere. It's a new realm. This thing.
Those are some new drums.
Hey,
baby, they beating some new drums.
What you say? What you say? Okay.
I'm telling you.
And can you interpret the drum beats? What does it do to speak to your soul? What is it saying to you? We must get in and we must fight. But the question is, how do you fight? What is your choice of weapon? That is what
those drums came from all over the world.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? They weren't just here in the United States.
Let me tell you,
they came from everywhere.
I told you my baby's father is was born in London. My sister-in-law lives across from the United States Embassy. She had took video from outside so we could see outside. There were tons. I mean, the streets were filled, and the people were saying, "Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter," with that British accent. You see what I'm saying? When you look at George Floyd, man, his image, his murals are all over the world. It's as if, sometimes we have a martyr, right? It seems to me that he didn't just die in vain.
No, he didn't.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. I got a scene in that book in Hopped on Pops where it's like the mothers of the movement. You got Trayvon Martin, Sabrina Fulton down there. You got Eric Garner's mom. You got Sandra Bland mom, and all of them are at the shoreline in the moonlight. And in the moonlight, Elijah McClain is playing his violin, but he's strong. He's buff. He got a sash with his name because they want to know who he was. Well, baby, I put a sash across his chest. And he's not puny. He's not small. He's not frail. He's got amethyst earrings in his ears. He looked beautiful. He's got that high top fade, and he's playing in the heavens. And the moonlight is there. And guess who the man in the moon is? It's George Floyd.
All right now.
And his mama is the mother of all mothers because she has the crown on her head. And you see her kiss his cheek. And you see an hourglass, a huge hourglass. And it says it has 9 minutes, 29 seconds etched in that hourglass. And she has a tear coming down her eye. And on that beach, you see, "Love you." And it's written out in Skittles because a mother love never ends. A mother love never fails. And I'm a very spiritual person. I really believe she was on that ground saying, "Hold on, son. We almost there. You're almost there. You got 9 minutes and 29 seconds, boy. But just hold on. Okay. I got your hand. Hold on. Come on. You ain't got to deal with this crap no more. Come with me. Just hold tight. Ma, I can't breathe. Mama." All of that right there. I could see it. I feel it. I can't prove it, but my spirit man says so. And I tried to capture some of that in that scene, girl. This book is haunting, it's celebratory, it's challenging, it's thought-provoking, and it's an augmented reality.
Now, when is the first book coming out?
The first book is coming out. The Christmas book is coming out on December 12th.
Okay, so when will you be back on the show? Will you be back here next Thursday?
My understanding was that I would be back in January the 2nd.
Okay, you be back January the 2nd?
The second Thursday in January.
Okay, she'll be back the second Thursday in January. Okay, but you need to listen. You need to post something in Rhythm Flow Radio or friends who like Rhythm Flow Radio so people will know where to go and find that book. That's
Yes,
going to
ma'am.
be out December 12th.
12. Yes, the
Yeah.
Christmas book is December 12th. But ladies and gents, you're going to have to wait until June 19th. Juneteenth is when I'm going to put the Hopped on Pops. The Hopped on Pops.
Wow.
And let me tell you why, because there's some things we're still working on.
Okay.
And I want to tell you a little bit more about that book. That book is for kids to think. It's for primary age and secondary. But there is a reader's guide in the back. So they get to do coloring, the children, the little ones, to show the world the way they see it. They get to do tracing with words like justice, equality, equity, opportunity, and they can talk to their parents about these words. They get to do word searches. So if you are a little one, you get to do these types of things. And because children that are little, they're more about how they feel. They can't really express their thoughts because they're still learning language, but they can tell you how they feel. And so that's what we want the parents to do, and the teachers and the educators. And that's what I'm working on, a resource guide and handbook to take these principles that I have in the book, because it's a lot of symbolism. It's a lot of symbolism. Like I got a wheel of fortune type of thing, but it's not a wheel of fortune. It
Mhm.
says still our fortune, still our fortune. And in it, you got these contestants with these uh they're standing behind, the podium, and it shows the monetary value of what they won, but it's not really about what they won. It has really dates in it. $1,492. That's 1492 with an Italian
Okay.
man.
Okay.
Got $1,619. That's really 1619 with the African girl standing behind, because that's the year that the transatlantic trade for slavery began. It's got 1964, 1965. We're talking about the Civil Rights Act, and we talk about the Voting Act. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So then when you look at the wheel with this beautiful, voluptuous woman of color, like a Vanna White type of character, but she looked like us, beautiful like us, you can win back your gold landmines, your wealth, your name,
Mhm.
your God, your history, your culture. These are things that were taken from us, our self esteem, and that's all on here. So it's, how do we teach? We've got to capture their imagination, we got to keep them thinking. So there are quotes from authors like James Baldwin, Maya Angelou, where we're talking about, is it colorism? Is it white fragility? Is it microaggression? Is it the white gaze? Things that you might have not really thought about, but you need to know what this stuff is. So this is the kind of stuff that they don't want in the classroom, because this is considered critical race theory, CRT. But I would tell you what I call it: culturally relevant teaching. My CRT is cultural relevant teaching. Because if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat some craziness.
Well, you know what? If they don't want it in the classroom, I'm telling you, you come with a concept, they can teach it at home.
Yes, ma'am. There you go. So that's why. So that's a supplemental handbook where you can go in and you can really take your time as a parent, because a lot of times parents don't know stuff. When we talk about the generations of parents, the years span between grandma and mom might be 14 years,
Yeah, now. Yeah.
maybe 20 at best.
Hmm.
And so if you had a baby at 14 and you're 34, you may or may not be where you need to be in terms of knowing your history. And there's nothing wrong with that, because when you learn is when you learn. I just encourage you to learn and put yourself in positions and rooms where you can learn and thrive, and make sure that you pull a generation up. So it's as you said, even if they won't take it in the schools, it's still there for parents to learn more about the history, so that they can show you the backdrop of why something is, and now you can feel a little bit better about the situation, knowing that you are empowered, that you are special, and how you got where you are. My illustrator for this book, believe it or not, is 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
Boy, is bad. Charles Biggins III is from Montgomery, Alabama, the Gump girl, the
Wow.
home of the civil rights movement. And I feel like that boy is infused in that. Everything that I wanted, he could see it. And if he felt like I was not true to what I said I wanted, he would challenge me. We have a scene in there that is so freaking cold. It's called Timeless. So you see like the Time magazine, and based on the Time magazine, I think in 2015 they might have had the man running down the street with all the SWAT team behind him, and they slashed it out because it was like originally in the 60s that this scene was, and they slashed it out for 2015. Well, I slashed it out again, made it say Timeless, but it looks like the Time magazine cover, and you see the slave running out from on Exodus Street with this modern day SWAT team behind him, this paramilitary SWAT team behind him. And my illustrator said, "Why are you doing it like that? Why are you doing it backwards?" I said, "Because it's a teaching tool." I said, "We're doing it backwards because we need to discuss how the police force was forged."
Okay.
So in the South, the police force was forged because it was to make sure that the property, which was slaves, would not run. They were the bounty hunters. They were the slave catchers. And out of that realm is how the police force came about in the South. And in the North, it was to make sure that the property was protected through organizations like Wells Fargo and Pinkerton, so that the pirates and and the Western gunslingers wouldn't just take the stuff and keep running with it. And so that was the North. See, they had a different mentality up north.
Okay.
Absolutely. I don't want my Italian door that I had hand carved stolen from the renegades, right?
Absolutely.
And down south, they was like, look at here. Now we done put all this money into these slaves, these niggers and niggerettes, and we don't want them running off, especially since we can't get no more from Africa, because they had shut that down in the 1700s. And so they was like, okay, cool. What we're gonna do is breed them out. So I got the buck in there, and it's played on Nug if you bug, Nug if you buck.
Oh, you just play it.
It's really clever, girl. I was just clowning.
Yeah, listen. So how can people find you, Valerie Davis Kemp?
Okay, so you could go to my website, which is carradicecollection.com, CarradiceCollection, no S, carradicecollection.com. You can Google my name, Valerie Kemp
Carradicecollection.com. Okay.
And you can Google me up. I've got Rainbow Cuddlings. That's one of my books. And I'm really excited about Hopped on Pops, y'all. This is the front of the book. And I want you to see. Y'all see that right there?
Oh,
see the little girl with the father?
Beautiful.
That's and she's watching the insurrection. Y'all see that? Y'all tell me that didn't do nothing to y'all psychologically to see them run up in there and all was well with everybody, the president. Okay, so that I have Jamaica Me Say Me ABCs, and this is getting ready to be a second edition in a minute.
Okay.
It's going to be special commemorative edition with Kamala Harris on it because she is a Jamaican. Okay. And then also I am part of an anthology, Triumph Over Grief. This is when my mom died and my reaction to grief. And it's about time we write another one. And I guess we've been talking about it, but with my dad dying, I'm telling you, y'all, I had to press in. Katie Lowe, because I said life and death, they're part of the circle of life. But my dad ran his race with patience, and he did what he was supposed to do. I still have work to do. And he taught me to be like a little Sally Walker. Rise, Sally, rise, wife, you're weeping.
But listen, I really want to thank you for taking your time out and coming and explaining to us, okay, about your literary work.
Thank you.
And
And Katie, before we go, can you let them see how the eyes blink? I think I
You
saw.
know what? I was trying to let me see if I can find the video. I was trying to
Okay,
find the video. I don't know if I have it on this computer, but let me
okay.
see if let me look and
I
go
wanted
in
the
here.
people, in case she can't pull it up. So these
Let me
eyes
let
for
me see if I can go in here and find a video.
okay, on Hopped on Pops, I wanted you to see what a child might see through her eyes. Two factions of mindsets. And I even have Karen on there. Karen, y'all know the proverbial Karen who's always calling police on somebody.
You
And
got that in there too?
yes, girl, Karen is on the left hand side. She's got her finger pointed and she got a name tag around her neck.
Oh my
Karen.
goodness.
And the police in the book, I did not want to show them as all bad because y'all, if y'all know me, I come out of law enforcement. I just retired a few months ago in April
You
of this
know
year.
that girl, I forgot all about that.
Yeah, I just retired. And so I know that see it has to do with the person mindset. It's a system that we're fighting, not necessarily a person. And so you all will find that people who don't do the right thing can be of any ethnicity in any color. We can't just put it on the white man because you see some of us. If y'all remember, Boys to Men. What was that movie with Cuba Gooden? And there was a scene with Lauren Boys in the Hood, and Lawrence Fishburne was in there, and the black officer was really giving Cuba Gooden a hard time, and the white officer was kind of standing back like, "What? You doing a lot." That's real out here in these streets. If y'all look at the George Floyd situation, it was an Asian officer standing next to Chauvin when he did what he did, right? And Biden had to just pass something when he got in office protecting Asians' rights. So it's not about your race, it's about a mindset, it's a systemic problem. So in my book, all the officers that are not right and they're not professional and they have a hidden agenda does not that is not about protecting and serving, they are in blue. Their skin is blue, their color, skin tone is blue because it's a system, the blues. But if you're a person that has integrity and you are officer to protect and serve, you are in this book in your skin tone. You will see you in your skin tone, whether your skin tone is brown, light brown, white, or whatever, because I wanted to impress upon the people that it's a system that we are fighting. It's a systemic problem, a systemic issue. It's not necessarily the man in the blue. And so on the other side, you see different characters. There's the little girl, I think her name was Winter Amore Rogers, who was on Instagram, and all the celebrity was really going in about, oh my gosh, she's the face of the future. And then there were people on Instagram that had negative connotations because this little girl was like 6 at the time. It was last year. And she was talking about no justice, no peace. And her eyes were flashing. I have her right in the center of that. There's a little girl, a teenager. She has vitiligo because we wanted to show people of all colors, all issues. You see the Muslim woman in the crowd. You see someone from the LGBT
You know,
community.
I don't have that on here.
Okay,
I
but
don't. But the
there's-
next time I will try to I will try to have it.
yes, and so that again, that book comes out on June 19th, and we'll really start pubbing it in February during Black History Month. And we really want to hype it up really around May 25th, which will be the second anniversary of George Floyd's assassination. I'm gonna call it that. And I just want you all to just um, be safe out here. We living in very critical times, and we're really concerned about our children, their well-being, their health, their mental health, and it's been a lot for kids in these last few
And a
years.
lot for young black men. I
Yes,
mean, black
ma'am.
men, period. But a
Not
lot.
people of color, because
Yes,
Brianna and Sandra tell y'all, hey,
wealthy.
ain't nobody is protected anymore. No one, it doesn't matter your gender or anything. We all fair game out here. And so we You got to arm yourself with knowledge. And this is my part. This has been my hand on the plow, trying to bring something forth to honor people of color and honor people, period, and to bring things in perspective on how we need to educate ourselves because knowledge is power. And if you don't, Marcus Garvey always talks about roots and not knowing yourself. If you are not fruitful, even in the Bible, God cursed the fig tree. You got to have deep roots, and you got to be fruitful, and you got to be coming forth with what you're supposed to be doing. And so I just feel it was an honor and privilege to honor those who may have been written um, in a negative way in our history, and to call some things out because Ayana Vincent said, "Call a thing a thing," and this is my way of calling a thing a thing. And I just hope that it helps. Both of these books help someone who's just kind of lost and not really not knowing what to think about it or how to think about it.
I'm trying to pull that up while you're talking.
Okay,
I
yeah.
really tried. So keep talking. I think I've got it.
So can you imagine what this is going to be like to see? Because in the animation, you see bullets whizzing, and you see the zinging of the taser. Can you imagine the sounds of blackness, the marching, the running? Um, I mean, the scenes are so vivid. When I tell you this brother did his thing, the scenes are so vivid, and it's comical too because like we have Trumpet Tower, and you see the little trumpet uh with the red necktie going back up to the penthouse, and you see the hats that have the Trump on it. But it's just I had a good time with it, but it also disturbed my spirit to even have to do something like that. But we've got to talk to our kids, and we sometimes we don't know what to say because who wants to tell your children how you want to keep your children in a mode where they can enjoy their childhood as long as they possibly can before they have to walk into young adulthood and into adulthood, right? And to have conversations about the things that they hear on the TV, they see on the internet, it comes up on their Google timeline because most kids have cell phones. They play things over and over again to see the man with his hands in his pockets and moving his knee around on another man's neck and the man begging for his life. Don't you know that those things do something to you psychologically? And
mm,
and you got to be able to talk about it and to put some perspective on it, and it makes you wonder why this happened, and how can you avoid it for yourself. Because some of us are not doing anything, like the man who was a minister lived right next to the officer, the female officer who said that she thought that she was entering her apartment, and she shot the young man down. That man was in his house sleeping and just relaxing from a day's work. And the young man whose gas, he was having problems not with gas. He had problems with his car. He called for help, and they had the helicopters, the choppers over him. And he was huge. He was kind of a large in stature, and he was a twin. He's originally from Montgomery. His twin is a PhD out of Montgomery. I can't think of his name right now. And the officer's husband, who was also an officer who was on the in the helicopter, says, "Wow, he looks like a bad dude." Well, what does he look like a bad dude? Because he's tall and he's black. He was calling for help for his car, and they shot him down in the streets, y'all. So I don't want it to be that because we have to tell our children something, and they need to understand the history of it, and to decide how they're going to do this thing. Because you could say all day, put your hands on the wheel, or put your hands outside the car and let them see it. Don't talk back, but how far do you go? Because then your children will feel like, do I become invisible? These Gen Zs, they're a different breed. They ask questions. They don't just go for what you tell them. And even if they follow the protocol that we teach them, how do we know that they're going to come home? But the goal is for our shorties to come home to us every day, or we to come home to our shorties. You know what I'm saying? So I just, I don't have all the answers. I present history and I present scenarios, and it's still up to you as your parent as you go through this, as the parent to go through this, to tell your children what you need to tell your children in terms of the things that you see and hear and what to make of this. I didn't come along as an expert. I came along to illustrate something, to show you the background of it, to talk about who you are, and then let you as the parent still have the reign in your house to say, bye, baby, to say what it is that you need to say to your children. You remember Mayor de Blasio?
We're proud of you, Ma. Woo! Yeah, go, Mama! Mwah! Happy Christmas and New Year!
This is the Carradice right here. Y'all see her, the crazy self, right? And this baby girl, the other little Jamaican. That's my artist.
Okay, another series is about her.
Yes. And speaking of this book, y'all, the little one that just came on here, the art, you can't see the art piece behind me, but this is one of the art pieces that's going to be on Michael B. Jordan's show next season.
Shut up.
Yes, it's called 61st Street. And the one that I told you is the person that I used for Carradice, the character. She worked that show as in the art department, and she made it very cultural, and she had one of my pages in her office, and the set director saw it. She came in her office one day. She says, "Tell me about this." And she said, "Oh, this is a story that my mom's working on. This is from her book, Hot Dog Pops." And she said, "I like this. Tell your mom," because she said she's working on finishing, and she said, "Tell your mom when she publishes it, I want to put it on the show." So yay! Even though I was in Florida and dealing with dad, people were rushing and moving and getting it done. And so I'm proud to announce that Hopped on Pots will be on Michael B. Jordan's show next year. It comes out on 61st Street.
Pull it up.
Oh, it's okay. So yeah, look to see it in Detective Young's apartment. He's a corrupted cop, and you will see my book on the Michael B. Jordan show next year. Yay!
Hey, you know, I will try to add that video clip on Rhythm
Okay.
Flow Radio, and
Okay.
also on Friends Who Like Rhythm Flow Radio later tonight.
Okay.
It
Okay.
looks like when you try to do something out here, it just never.
Look, you one of the hardest working women in America. Girl, you work hard. You do an excellent job. You do an excellent job. And I love the way you put me and promoted me. Very, very creative, very much a part of my personality and your personality. And I am just so thankful. And I just, again, want to shout out to my artist, Richard Natu, Charles Biggers, and my narrator, Nicole Farquharson. And I want to say, thank you all for who tune in, who's going to tune in later to see me down the road as I talk about the things that are near and dear to my heart as not just an activist, but an advocate and one who considers herself a midwife and a cultural curator. And I just would love you to take the journey with me. I'm in the process of being rebranded and just doing a lot of things, y'all. So just take the ride with me. And I think the beautiful Miss Katie Lowe from Rhythm Flow Radio, who gave me the opportunity to come on her platform to come to you, and let's take this ride together.
And so we'll see you in January, right?
Yes, we will.
Okay.
The second Thursday in January at the same time, 7:00. Be here.
All right. And listen, I thank you for coming in and dropping them nuggets, honey.
You're welcome.
You know, because it's going to give everybody a different outlook on Christmas. And
Yes,
I
I
just
hope
want to
so.
tell everybody this Christmas, choose diversity and inclusion.
Come on.
All right.
This Christmas will be A very special Christmas, cultural diversity. Yeah.
All right. All right. Good night, everybody. And
Good
thank
night.
you.
Good night.
This is
God
Rhythm
bless.
Flow Radio live stream right here on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Spreaker, and streaming on Apple Podcasts. Good night.
Good night. God bless.
That cheese pie. Funky Christmas, time for love and peace. Look out, friend and neighbor. Pass them biscuits, please.